Guys, what's going on? It's Mike Soul Dragon Channel, and what we're going to do today, we had already looked at the first appearance of Deadpool, but however, I figured that we could also look at what I like to call the first appearance of Deadpool as we know him now. This run by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, in my mind, is basically the Deadpool that you see on the movies right now. The character as we know him right now gained traction and was formed in this book, this run right here that Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness launched in 1997. So what I'll do is I'm going to open this thing up and I'll point to a lot of things that we have in here that this book gave us that kind of that we see now with the current version of Deadpool, especially the one that we see on the big screen. Um, Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness launched this book in 1997, and in my opinion, it is the best Deadpool book that there has been. Now, I know Mark Waid, I believe it's Mark Waid, he did a 4-issue miniseries before this came out. I don't remember a whole bunch about it, to be honest. So, I do remember there was a lot of wisecracking in there. And, of course, we had the yellow balloons and everything. But when Joe Kelly and McGuinness launched this book, to me, all the things that we know about Deadpool right now began in this book here, and that's why I wanted to crack it open and show you some of the things that first appears in this book that that we see on the big screen now. So just by going through these pages, you know, we see a ton of yellow balloons, non-stop talking. We see him running into this gun or this mech or whatever it's called. We get this sound effect, poing. He recognizes it and calls it out by poing. Trees don't go poing. Llamas don't go poing. Nothing found in nature goes poing. So right there, we've got what's been, Deadpool. One of the things he's become famous for is knowing that he's in a comic book. So we've got a little bit of that realization right here. I just noticed this. This is hilarious. Stan Lee presents Hey, It's Deadpool, or Deadpool #1. So we've got some of that. We've got mention of his friend Weasel, who was in the first 2 movies. We see him using his swords here to great effect. Like in the last one, we were looking at New Mutants 98, he kept using some sort of like paralyzing wire or whatever, Here is Sister Margaret's School for Wayward Children. This is where he comes to get his assignments, for to collect his bounties on. We see that in the first movie. We also see Weasel. This is Weasel right here. Weasel's in the first and second movie as what's the guy's name? TJ Miller, I think that's his name. So then we see Blind Owl, Deadpool's roommate. She's not nearly as much as a cokehead, a drug fiend in this book as she is in the movie. But basically the same concepts of her being blind, living with Deadpool, kind of being the person that keeps him in check, someone who's not afraid to talk trash to him, talk back to him. You know, we see all that in here. One of the other things that we see in here in this book is we see Deadpool wanting to be something more than just a hired killer. And we see that, you know, that I don't want to call it a sense of being a hero, a sense of, you know, that type of heroic sense, but it is because he still, even though he does do the right thing, you know, a lot of times he does it violently. He doesn't do it the way that a straight up hero would do, which is, you know, part of his appeal. Of course, you know, they call it that whole anti-hero vibe, but this book here really launches the fact that Wade wants to be something more than just a hired killer. You know, he wants to be, you know, to have some depth, to be a type of hero, to have a moral center, so to speak. And they kind of talk about that. They have that a little bit brought up right here when Sasquatch tells Deadpool this nuclear reactor is about to go, you know, critical, and we need someone to stop it. If not, then everyone within an X amount of distance is going to get incredible amounts of radiation poisoning. And you see that Deadpool right here is kind of just like, man, I really don't want to do this, but all right, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So he jumps down into the vat. So basically doing a good deed. And all this radioactive waste is eating him up. So Sasquatch manages to pull him out. And he's like, if I didn't know you any better, I'd say you just committed a selfless act of heroism, you poor fool. And of course, in typical Deadpool fashion, he tries to blow it off with a, you know, witty line. So that right there alone is what builds up this series here. Deadpool choosing not to be a killer anymore, wanting to do good. And then, you know, we see people like Blind Owl, wherever the hell she's at, right here. We see Blind Owl, we see Weasel, we see, basically, so if you've only ever seen the Deadpool Wolverine movie and you've never read this book, basically all these people right here are like the TVA, and they have Deadpool, they have like a really big mission for him, and he really jumps to, this is the whole point of this book, is this group here has a really big mission for him, and one in which he can be a really big hero, and he swallows that line, he swallows that hook, line, and sinker. So for the first about 25 issues of this book, it is Deadpool's journey onto becoming kind of a hero, all the setbacks he faces, him dealing with, you know, basically trying to shake off his past as being a killer and take on this new direction as someone who lives a life of basically good, not 100% good, but basically. So it's very much in line with what we've seen on the big screen with Deadpool right here. And I believe, me personally, I believe it all begins in this book here by Joe Kelly. I think he has the best feel for the character of anyone I've seen since. So this is just a facsimile right here of issue number 1. $6, but it's a really big issue. You know, it's got a lot of stuff in here. And then what you don't have as far as story wise, you got some behind the scenes stuff. But if you want to get a feel for Deadpool and where it all started, this right here is definitely the best place to start, in my opinion. So till next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye bye.